For the ones who get going when the going gets tough. And the ones who know we're tougher together. For the Pathfinders breaking new ground. Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry, as well as fast access to experts and 24/7 customer support. Because we know you have people depending on you. So you can always depend on us. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
TheChairshot.com. Always use your head.
Surprise, surprise. UFC 262 is in the books and new. Let's hit that intro. Hi guys, welcome back to 5 Rounds. I am Mags, and with me, as always, my son Carlos. Carlos, how are you?
Oh, I'm smashing. Well, I'm actually feeling more awake. So I've been awake all night. And what time is it now?
5 to 6.
I think it's because it's light outside again now, so I've got that second burst of energy. And especially after that main event, woof!
Yeah, wow, what a card! The UFC just isn't failing to deliver recently. Quickly, let's just run through these prelims. So we started the night with Christos Giagos picking up the sub against Sean Soriano. Kevin Aguilar getting the decision against Tucker Lutz in the featherweights. And then in the women's flyweight, we had Gina Manzaghi losing. The fighter's name's disappeared, so I'm sorry about that.
What? What?
Then in the recorded prelims, we had Jordan Wright getting the first round knockout of Jamie Pickett. Lando Venata picking up the decision against Mark Grundy, even though one of the judges gave it 3 rounds to Grundy, which just made absolutely no sense. And then probably the most disgusting arm break that you'll see in a long, long time with Andre Muniz snapping Jacare Souza's arm to get the first round sub. And it's interesting that if you remember way before his UFC days, Jacare faced I think it was Royce Gracie in a jiu-jitsu fight, and I think it was about 2004, and he actually snapped the other arm. Royce Gracie snapped Jacare's other arm, and Jacare didn't tap because he knew he was going to win the bout on points, and he ended up beating Gracie on points.
Yeah, he ended up. I remember that.
So
he ended up it was belt. He ended up basically like tying his belt around his arm.
That is what an animal, and he wasn't going to tap in that fight.
Well, it didn't phase him. It didn't phase him. He broke his arm, and to any other person, now fair enough for the adrenaline, you'll give it to him that they might not have felt it straight away up until they've seen it. What the fuck am I looking at it? And he was just like, okay, it's ready.
Mat 5.
Yeah. He was just looking at it, and then who were we fighting?
It was.
What's his name? We literally just said it.
Andre Muniz.
That's it, Andre Muniz. I do apologise. Andre Muniz comes over to him, and he's there just like, yeah, don't worry about it, mate. Good fight. Like, you are the better grappler. Fair enough.
Instantly, I got the reminded of when Rich Franklin knocked out Chuck Liddell with a broken arm. Just thought if Jacare gets a chance, he's just going to swing that limp arm and try and slap Andre Muniz with it. But yeah, good victory for Andre Muniz, a real kind of statement. Anyway, let's get into this main card because there was a lot of great action on this main card. Normally, when you have a good prelims, the main card kind of sometimes just doesn't live up to the hype. I think this one really, really did. So we started as bright as you could with an opener. Edson Barbosa, everybody loves him. The guy is the only person to have multiple knockouts with leg kicks. He's an absolute beast, and he was taking on Shane Burgos, who's really kind of coming to his own with his boxing and his striking. And this fight just took no prisoners. From the first second, we had Barbosa throwing those brutal leg kicks, and it got to a point where he even cut his own leg from throwing that many leg kicks. and Burgos was really doing well landing that jab. I think he cut Barboza early in the first round, a little bit of clinching, but it was interesting when the crowd was chanting no takedowns, no takedowns. I thought that was funny. These guys, not really the kind of people to really want to go for takedowns. These were the kind of people who were just trying to finish. And for me, I thought Barboza took an easy lead in the first round. With those leg kicks were just brutal. You could see Shane having to change up his game plan and check the kicks, and he wasn't able to put as much pressure on that lead leg. Second round, a lot of the same, but I thought that Shane was getting a little bit more success again with his shots. But then we saw Barboza start opening up with his fists, and we know that he can certainly land fists. He's very well rounded in the striking area. And then we get to the third round, and I think he just had enough. Just had enough of playing with Shane Burgos, and he lands a big right. Burgos took a step back, and it was such a weird kind of knockout, because it's the kind of knockout where you see happen when you get liver shots or you get kidney shots, where your body has to take a few seconds to kind of come to terms with that it's shutting down. Where this one, he got a shot to the head, and it was the same kind of effect where Shane was like, I'm ready to fight, but then his body was like, I don't know about that, mate. Yeah, I might just go asleep here. And his legs started giving away. You could see his eyes starting glazing over. His brain was kind of coming to terms with, yeah, we are done here. And he stumbles and gets a few jabs for his troubles, and Edson Barboza with a massive victory.
A big victory for him, especially, what is it now, 3 wins in a row in that featherweight division.
I mean, it looks like his natural weight. I mean, I know he struggled at the beginning, getting down to these lighter weights, but and now I think he's there and he's able to maintain. I think he looks a killer at that division.
Once you can, when you're talking weight cutting wise, we'll go back to Amanda Nunes. I know it's in reverse. She was putting weight on, but she wants to do it smart. She didn't want to just go right on visceral fat, and I just basically want to put the weight on. So I've just got my organs are surrounded by fat, and I've got like a layer of fat around my body. She didn't want that. She wanted to put on the right amount of muscle weight to actually go up. Now Barboza, when he was fighting at lightweight, he's always been a lean fighter, and when I say lean fighter, I mean his muscle mass compared to his fat body percentage on his body has always been higher. So when he's had to cut down to the weight, it's more of his muscle that he's had to cut down. Because if you were to put 2 pictures side to side with him of when he were at lightweight to now when he's at featherweight, he'll still look as lean as he was, but he won't have as much muscle mass or as much muscle density. He'll still be as strong as he was. That's how muscles work. You don't sort of lose your strength; you just lose the size. Your muscles can get denser rather than bigger. Yeah. And that's basically what's happened to him in dropping down the extra 10 pounds. I know it might not seem like a lot, but 10 pounds is a lot, especially when it's water weight and fat weight that you're cutting. And like I say, you want to try and keep as much muscle mass as you can, but unfortunately muscle does weigh more, especially the denser it is, the more it weighs. So you've got to hit a fine line safely in that weight. And when he went down the first time, he found it hard, like any human would, especially cutting weight. But when he were able to get down there and keep on a steady pace, he was able to his body was able to actually transform and get used to that sort of regime he's going by. Now, when we talk about fighters doing weight cutting, they shouldn't cut 20 pounds before the day. But he's basically done what everyone said that MMA should do. You should find your weight, and then you should have to stick to that weight throughout, and that's basically what Barboza's done. And a perfect win for him tonight. And the guy you were facing, he's a fucking zombie. He's an absolute zombie. You only put Borg away by putting him down. That's as simple as that. Because if you don't hurt him and knock him out, he'll just keep walking forward. But we've saw it now in his last couple of fights. It's probably not the best tactic, so he does need to change some stuff there. But with the delayed reaction again, when he got hit. When you get hit, your brain doesn't understand what a punch is. We know what a punch is because we can say, "Oh, that's a punch," but your brain physically doesn't understand what a punch is. What your brain knows it as is a foreign object hitting it and having the impact and shocking your brain. So when your brain smashes against your skull and it sends the signals from the nerves from your head to your feet back up to your head faster than you can even blink. That's basically what was going on with Bo. His body was doing that, and before he had time to even react and think, "Oh, what do I do?" He started shutting down slowly, and that's why his legs started going before he were already flat on his face. And when you seen Barbosa with them last 2 shots, they weren't relatively heavy shots, but if you notice Bo's body reactions after, when he's led on the floor, his legs are starting to come up. Like he wants to walk, like he's thinking he's stood up.
Yeah.
Like that's what I get out of that. When we've been in uni studying them sort of videos, when he's doing that, that's what I get out of that. His body's still thinking that he's in the fight and he's still walking. That's why he's not flailing about. He's moving his leg like he's in a walking position. But yeah, perfect win for Barbosa, and wow, 3-0.
Yeah.
Volkanovski's champion of that weight, isn't he?
He is.
I'd be looking at him as a serious contender around about now. But I know he's got Ortega and the Ultimate Fighter, but I guarantee if they were to say to Barbosa, "Do you want to be a replacement in case anyone gets injured, he'll snap it up in a breath."
He'll be absolutely waiting in the wings. And after a victory like that, I would not be surprised if Barbosa is getting his drink on. And you too can get your drink on if you go and check out our sponsors, Drizzly. Here's a short promo for them.
Do you need to restock your alcohol, but you just really don't want to get off the couch? Well, Drizzly has you covered with beer, wine, and liquor delivered directly to your doorstep. Head over to drizzly.sjv.io/STI, where you can shop a massive selection of beer, wine, and liquor. You can compare prices in your local area, and you can choose immediate delivery, which will have the alcohol delivered to your doorstep in just 60 minutes. Drizzly's serving 180 markets, and they're just getting started.
So, going after that fight, we went into the women's with Viviane Araujo taking on Katlyn Chookagian. Katlyn Chookagian's always been a very interesting fighter for me. Someone who's
your new favourite fighter. Cocker.
Hashtag Katlyn likes. So yeah, she's always been a very interesting fighter for me. She doesn't excel in one particular part of MMA, but she's just well-rounded. And I think no fight proves that more than this one. She took the first round for me because of the sheer volume of shots that she puts out. She's never going to be the kind of fighter that's knocking people out, but she lands so many shots. I mean, she's annoying with the scream she does with every shot. Very, very aggravating after a while. But she adds in good kicking. She adds in great jabs and hooks. Araujo seemed to have more power in her shots. She just didn't have enough of them to really damage Chookagian. And it seemed to me that Chookagian wore her down enough that going into like the second and third round, Araujo looked really, really tired and was taking a lot of deep breaths. For me, this was a typical Chookagian fight. She's very much a point fighter. I think if you look all the way down her records, most of her wins come from decision victories, and this is absolutely no different. Is it exciting to watch? Not really, but she gets the job done. The only problem is she's stuck in a division where she's just outclassed by Valentina Shevchenko. But a great victory for her. The judges gave it, I think a couple of judges gave it 29-28. One judge gave it 30-27. I could agree with both, really. I think maybe Araujo took the second, perhaps. But other than that, this was a very dominant but standard victory for Katlyn.
Yeah, but Caitlin will like that, wouldn't you? So. But yeah, what a good victory for her. I know a lot of people say that obviously the point fighting is boring, but what Her style sort of reminds me of when you go back in the day of when you first start out in your career and you're fighting in the little sports halls and they're full of people. And that's when you'll see a lot of point fighting and a lot of fundamentals and technique rather than just pure power and speed. You'll see more of the technique and again the point fighting. She's more of a enduro fighter rather than she's a Francis Ngannou fighter. She's better at fighting long distance than it is trying to get you out of there in the first round because she knows biomechanically she's not going to be able to do that unless that shot is perfect. You're coming in and she's going into you and it just works out sound. But as most professional fighters know, once you start looking for that shot, that's when it starts going against you and you seem to not being able to find it. So yeah, her opponent made the mistake of playing into Caitlin's game. Caitlin always wants to go the 3 to 5 rounds, doesn't matter what fight she's in. She's not bothered about being in there for 25 minutes. She's not scared about being in there for 25 minutes. She knows that she's got good head movement. She can stay out the way of a foot movement and she can pick her shots off and pick some points up. Now, she can only do that to an extent. Like you just said, Valentina Shevchenko is in that division. And until she's out of that division, personally, I can't see anybody taking the title off her in that division. So it's going to, for me, even though they're exciting fighters, it's going to be turn into one of them divisions where people are going to look at it and go, oh, well, they're not exciting fighters because they're beating each other. No one can beat the champ. That's the way
we need a breakout star like we got with Joanna.
Yeah, we need someone who's gonna stand up to. Because we already know. I think she's like one. How many times she faced Valentina? Is it once or twice? Either way, she's lost.
Yeah, once and she got absolutely dominated.
Yeah, so that's not to say that she can't turn it around. I don't know off the top of my head. I don't know how old she is. I'd say 30s if I were to put a guess on it. But yeah, it's not you haven't got a massive amount of time to basically put a lot more skill into your game, especially in them sort of division, because it's not like we're talking about a division where it's like, right, you may have a year before fighting the champion, so you've got a year to fight on to work on your game.
Two wins gets you in the top 5.
Yeah, she might after that win or after another win, even after that win, because
I think she was
still to fight.
I think she was still ranked. Caitlin was still ranked like number 2. Going into that fight, so
after that fight, she could easily get asked to fight in a month or a month and a half time against Valentina. So again, it's not a lot of time to work on skill to beat Valentina Shevchenko, and it's just one of them. It's an hard thing to put on it, even though we're not trying to shit on a performance because it was a good performance. It's just where does it put you forward when Valentina is standing in your way?
And I think that's sometimes the problem when you've got such a dominant fighter as champion, that the more interesting fights are actually underneath to see where people are like pushing themselves in the rankings.
So he's going to turn it more into a dog fight.
I mean, look at the Habib situation. When he was champion, everyone was shuffling to be the number 2, and it only really got more exciting once he confirmed his retirement, and then all of a sudden everybody was pushing to be number 1 again.
That's it.
So after that, we go to the middle of the card. Rogério Bontorin taking a fight on last minute notice against Matt Schnell. It was meant to be at bantamweight, but Rogério came in a pound overweight. I get disappointed when people like him get fined for being overweight when he's took the fight on like 4 days
when
notice.
He did him a favour.
Yeah. Hopefully UFC will cover that.
You should compensate. If not, it's a bullshit move because, like you just said, then we're a pound over, which is as me. I fought myself when I stepped into fight. My opponent who I was fighting told me, well, it was their coaches who before my coaches that they were weighing in at around about 64 kilogram, and we were supposed to fight at 70. I tried my best to cut a little bit more down. I got to 68. I couldn't get down anymore. Simple as that. I naturally walk around at about 75, 77. So it was just straight out of pure respect trying to get down there. But when you're trying to when you're trying to improvise to make a fight happen, like this guy has, he's took a fight on short notice. He's a pound out. You piss a pound.
Mm-hmm.
You can go and take a shit and it's a pound. You'll take 25% of it when he steps in to do you a favour. He could have said, you know what, fuck you.
Yeah.
Fuck that guy. I don't want to step in a fight, but he didn't. So hopefully they compensate him, because again, the crowds didn't do him any favour by booing him. Even, yeah, fair enough, it were a boring start, because it was a very slow start, but the guy who stepped up to save that fight, came in a pound overweight, also put on the best performance in that fight.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he dominated match now from minute one for me. He was the bigger guy, obviously, but he landed more shots. When Machnell was throwing shots, it seemed more that he was windmilling and just hoping that he landed, rather than having any kind of real technique behind him. Now we know Machnell is a top draw fighter, but I don't think this was his best performance by any stretch of the imagination. And Bontorin just was able to dominate him with power over all 3 rounds, and the crowd were getting a bit restless, and I can understand why. Like you said, it did get it slowed down a lot, especially in that second round when they went for the clinches up against the cage. Not a lot of action was really happening. In the third round, Machnell kind of came out of his shell a little bit, tried to land a few jumping knees and kicks, but it was too little too late, and Bontorin knew he had the fight won, knew that if he wanted to land a flurry of punches, he was able to, and he picked up a very decisive decision for me.
Yeah, he deserved the win, and to say he stepped up on short notice, and when you're under that pressure, when you've got a crowd full of people booing because they're getting a bit bored of the fight and agitated because they want to see some action. I didn't hear the referee once basically, well, saying that though, this is just going off straight pure just luck, because with new crowds and that, you can't fuck all, can you?
They're wild.
You can't.
You can tell live events has come back pretty recently, because they are mental. I've seen videos of the crowd actually fighting.
I've just shared that today. If you go on our Instagram after this, don't go off yet. But if you go on our Instagram afterwards, you'll see the crowd are actually starting to scrap. Like, that's how long the crowds haven't been there. So they come back, they've turned into a wild pack of animals. Yeah. But I fucking love it. I love it to the rollback, and especially some of the chants that they've been getting. But yeah, fair enough. We got 8 corners, but so what? It means people can't fucking go online and go, oh, I know what I'm on about. No, you don't, dickhead. Now do it. What would your advice be for them fighters now that you can't hear the coaches? Go on, put it in the comments.
So just before we get into these this co-main event and main event, let's have a little word from our other sponsor, talking about protection. Maybe one of the fighters in the next round might need a little bit of support in his legs in his next fight.
You want to look good while working out, then Sleeves has you covered. With over 1,000 print styles for men, women, and children, Sleeves has something for everyone. Head over to sleeves.com, that's SLEEFS.com. Find what you like, and at checkout, remember to type in the promo code STSI25 for 25% off your entire purchase. That's sleeves.com, SLEEFS.com, and at checkout, STSI25 for 25% off your purchase.
Just before we get into this co-main event, Tanner in the chat on YouTube. Good morning, Mags and Carlos. Hope you all are well. We are tired, but we're still harped after this fight. Bernal Dariush versus Tony Ferguson was everything that we hoped it would be. Dariush took a lot of grief in the pre-fight press conference. He was the natural kind of a bad guy in this fight. Everybody loves Tony Ferguson, and because Dariush, I think, is part Iranian, He was naturally the enemy because obviously America.
It's just don't do America.
But he took it all in his stride. He knew that was going to be the case, and he took all of Ferguson's jabs on verbal jabs and said, "Yeah, I'll meet you in the octagon." And if you have watched the press conference, there's a part where Tony Ferguson admits to breaking his own students'
yeah, what a dicky move.
Weird.
Be with our gym, you get kicked in your fucking head.
So anyway, going into the fight, Darius started so brightly. He knew he wanted to get the finish in this fight, and he was looking to pressure with punches and clinches and takedowns. He went for a level change and fell into a guillotine. But it was nice and calm and was able to pop his way out. Then he was we had Ferguson trying to lift the leg up when he was in top mount. Basically, Beneil Dariush is an elite level grappler, and he was able to really control Ferguson in this first round. Ferguson dangerous off his back though. Some of the elbows and shots. Any other opponent could have easily knocked him out, but Dariush was able to really kind of dominate Ferguson in that first round, and you could tell he went. It gave an air of confidence because going into the second, it was a lot of the same thing. Dariush pushing the pace, pressing Ferguson up against the fence, able to. Ferguson grabbed the neck whilst he went down. We went for a Darce choke, which looked tight for me. I thought that was the point where maybe Ferguson was going to pull this victory out of the jaws of defeat, but he just didn't have the right positioning. Not to say that he couldn't have got it, because we've seen Ferguson get submissions in places where you shouldn't be able to get that kind of pressure. But again, Dariush was able to just stay calm, shift his weight, and was able to pop out, land some shots onto Ferguson, and then we saw Ferguson try for the roll, and they got their legs all tangled up, and it looked to me like they were going for an actual legitimate Ric Flair figure four. But Dariush hooks in this heel hook, and my God, people's toes are not meant to point that way. For someone who's had a lot of problems with their leg. I've for people who don't know, I've broke my leg a couple of times, and I've also had the ligament snap where the knee went 90 degrees in the direction that it should not go. That kind of felt the same for me with Tony Ferguson, and I was absolutely cringing for him. Tony's not the kind of person who shows he's in pain, but even he was screaming in pain. Able to hold off, which I don't know how, able to carry on and go to decision, which was shocking for me. But that third round, you could tell it was survival mode. He wasn't able to stand up properly. He was using the fence to sprawl. Dariush was able to take him down and control the fight. Didn't really need to go for the finish, but he still put in the effort to do so. Ferguson proved himself to be a warrior, but the fact is he's now 0-3 in his last three fights, and Beneil Dariush's this might be his biggest win of his career.
His biggest name, definitely his biggest name win of his career. I think what Tony's now realising, especially after this fight, is he's just getting old, man. Like it's not like he's a bad fighter. He's a legend. He's been in the UFC for. And
I don't even think it's just the age. I think he's took so much damage.
I think with the Gaethje, like he didn't take really that. I know, like he's had hits, especially with the Venata fight and some of the other. I can't remember off the top of my head, but like I say, I know he took hits.
Oliveira fight. He took an absolute whooping.
Well, before that, it was the Gaethje fight that absolutely destroyed his soul.
Yeah. And
he hasn't looked the same since that fight, and that fight led on to the Oliveira fight, and obviously Oliveira's led on to this fight, and it's been recurring. Gaethje finished him off on the feet. Oliveira showed him that he's just getting a bit too old to hang on the ground, and Dariush has just shown him that, listen, you're just a bit too old in both departments now. Like,
and I think a lot of it as well is a confidence thing. The Gaethje fight showed him he was not invincible.
Well, that's it.
And it gives you that little kind of like splinter in your mind to think, yeah, he beat me and he whooped the piss out of me. And then you go into the next fight maybe thinking, is this person going to beat me, rather than going in and thinking, I am going to beat them. And it just seems like it's that for me.
I could probably understand. I wouldn't agree on it, because obviously the person he is and for how long he's been in it. Now, if it were a younger fighter and they took a couple of losses, and fair enough, they're going to be coming back from that. But I think Tony's a bit too mentally sound to be able to be like getting nervous or
mentally sound.
You know what I mean? Not fully, but in that aspect of, I don't think you can break his confidence. Like, yeah, a lot of people could have broke his. Charles Oliveira could have broke his confidence and made him tap when he were ripping his arm apart, and that did do it. Dariush could have basically break his confidence when he's just clearly destroyed his knee. When Dariush said he heard a pop, he's asked Tony for it. No, my knee's all right. Yeah, your knee's fucked.
Yeah,
it's simple. You don't react like that, and you don't walk the way you were, not being able to put pressure on it if there were no damage to that knee. There's definitely ligament damage and tendon damage. There must be. His meniscus must be fucked.
It's snapped. It's absolutely snapped.
He's gone. But yeah, I think what he's got to realise is the same as what Anderson Silva and Donald Cerrone realise, and you can only train high level for so long, and you can only keep up with the younger guys for so long, and when you start getting past that 35 mark, especially with that 40 mark, Tony Ferguson is 37.
Yeah.
So he's not. Dariush is only 32. So he's basically on. Dariush is actually on the bit of the older scale of the age-wise, if you want to talk about these top-level athletes, because you're ranging from 25 to, like I said, from 25 to 34-ish, like the top age on the top-level athletes. I mean, you're getting past that. It's going to be a lot harder to keep up, because as you're going on, there's new guys coming up, and MMA is moving on that fast where Imanari roll, he wouldn't be able to pull an Imanari roll off as smoothly as what he were able to do 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's just because of his aging, the way his body is, the way the human body is. You're not as athletic as you once were when you were younger. It's as simple as that. Your body starts breaking down, and especially with Tony Ferguson, for how much mad shit he's done and how much mad training he's done, I guarantee his body's feeling it now. You go ask every member of Jackass if they don't have a bag back. Guarantee they'll tell you that they do. It's just one of them. Like, I guarantee now in 40 years' time I'll be fucked. My knees will be gone. My back's already going. And I'm 24. I've been in it for a bit. And Tony Ferguson's been doing it for high level for so long, over the last 10 years. It's going to take a toll on you at some point. But other fact, Gaethje, Poirier, all these lot have got to face it to come. It's just not happened yet. But Tony Ferguson, unfortunately, with MMA, you can age overnight like that, and that's what's happened to Tony. And he needs to.
We've seen that kind of stuff with the likes of Tyron Woodley, where 1 minute he was on top of the hill, next minute is not the fighter that he used to be.
Yeah, exactly like you say. You just, once you get to a certain point, you just can't. You physically just can't put all the stress on your body to train that much and train that hard for so long. Because if you train that hard all the time, like most of them do, why do you think most athletes have underlying injuries? Mm-hmm. Because they get them through training sessions from overloading and overworking the body, burning out the body and feeling just like feeling shit and drained out. Then they've got little nagging injuries that they can't get fixed, because if they do take 2 to 3 couple of months out, they're going to start going back in reverse, and then so it's on a vicious cycle when you're starting to go like that. So when you're thinking about it, and that is how it works. Unless you're one of these fighters who are constantly in the physiotherapy room getting hot and cold therapy and getting everything fixed straight away and doing it, but no athlete does that all the time. Fair enough, it's getting better as the years go on and the more development in the research of rest and recovery develops, but most fighters still come into fights at about 80-odd%, 90-odd% healthy to fight. They'll always have underlying health problems or underlying injuries that they need to get sorted out. So Tony Ferguson's probably had that. And for the amount of time he's been fighting, everything just builds up over time and you just start biting back at you.
Yeah, so let's go into this title match now, and perhaps Beneil Dariush has made a statement for him to be involved in the conversation for who will be the next contender. But we have Charles Oliveira, a guy who's been in the UFC for 11 years, made his debut August of 2010 against Michael Chandler, the newest entry in the lightweight division. Scored that walk-away knockout of Dan Hooker and being pushed straight into a title match. And wow, this first round was like watching 5 rounds of fighting in one for me. So much to break down, so much action. Oliveira starting with low kicks that pretty much sends Chandler to the floor. Then we get Chandler getting the guillotine, which just wasn't able to work. Oliveira pops his head out, gets top control. Then we get Oliveira working his way around to the back. And it looked like this maybe it was all over for Michael Chandler. Oliveira was very patient, taking his time, trying to lock in the choke. But Chandler was able to get up and stand on his feet, which was just such strength. I mean, because Oliveira is a huge guy at this weight, so tall and lanky. He goes for the slam, which puts him in a worse position because Oliveira was able to still keep hold of the body triangle. But then Chandler fought the arms off, was able to just wait and bide his time, exploded out, gets back to the feet, starts throwing shots. Oliveira then goes for the takedown himself. Chandler is able to kind of like just push him away and land some shots which look like they knocked Oliveira out. Oliveira recovers. We go into guard. Chandler's laying punches in whilst Oliveira's led on the floor throwing up kicks. We finally get to the end of the round and we needed a break. And I think Charles Oliveira was like, I ain't putting up with 5 rounds of this bullshit. Comes in, lands a massive left hand in the second round. Chandler goes down, is hurt. Oliveira just carries on landing shot after shot after shot. And we get Chandler trying to kind of turtle and make some space. But the ref Dan Murgotta had to come in and stop the fight. A fair finish for me. I would have been happy with a result either way because both have their own kind of fairy tale stories. Michael Chandler just not having the right time to join the UFC, finally gets his chance at the big shot, scores a massive victory over Dan Hooker and gets a title shot. It would have been a fairy tale win for him. But then also you look at Charles Oliveira, the forgotten man of this division, just getting win after win after win after win. I think it was like 8 wins in a row or something like that, and always kind of overlooked. Habib dropped the title when he retired, and it opened that door a little bit for Oliveira, who's been putting in amazing performances, and he's able to take it. And you could see how much it meant to him that he was finally a champion after a decade in the company. You can't badmouth Charles Oliveira for that. The guy's been putting off performance after performance, and it's just a shame that Michael Chandler was the one who had to lose.
Yeah, the way I see it, like when I was speaking to one of my close friends about this, and we were asking that who we got in the fight, we both picked Chandler, and
I picked Chandler as well.
Yeah, I picked Chandler knockout round 2. Now I was wrong on that aspect. When we got out the first round, I thought, oh, maybe I'm right here. Maybe he's going to finish him in this second round. Was not expecting Oliveira to finish him in the second round one little bit. As soon as Chandler came out fast and was opening up fast, I knew, hey, up here, Oliveira's going to level change at any point in taking down because just the heart difference was so big. Yeah. Chandler was just having to, every time he was punching, he was swinging, but having to punch up. Charles Oliveira was just having to punch down, so it was a lot easier for him to get his shots off.
In that first opening minute or so, you could see basically Chandler swinging and getting nowhere near Oliveira because of Oliveira's was so much rangier than him. He was able to. It was kind of like when you see a cartoon of like Scooby-Doo, where he's just holding on to Scrappy-Doo's head and Scrappy-Doo's there swinging away because he can't get any closer, and that's what it felt like a little bit to the at the beginning of the first round, especially.
Oh yeah, definitely. But when Charles Oliveira were able to get the takedown, and when Chandler moved and turned and gave Oliveira his back, and even you heard the commentary saying, "Don't give him the back," I were a bit intrigued at this point. I was thinking to myself, why has he done that? Because he had a couple of different options he could have gone there, but he went for the most dangerous one in a lot of the people's eyes, especially the commentators' eyes, because they pooed the pants as soon as they give him the back. But what a lot of people have got to remember is he's not just a wrestler. He's been in mixed martial arts for a long time, so he knows Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's practiced it himself. He is a practitioner. And when he gave Oliveira his back and Oliveira got the hooks in, he did the first thing that anyone should do: grab one of the wrists, because you're cutting it off. Now, fair enough, Oliveira is that good on the ground that he could probably get it off with one arm, but Charles Oliveira is a wrestler. They usually got big upper body strength. Look at Daniel Cormier. They ain't got necks, so you can't squeeze that with one hand. You need to get some force on some wrestlers' necks. They're too strong. And when he was able to just stay calm, and then when Oliveira locked the body triangle in, and when he were able to stand up, in that position, what you're really supposed to do is just start leaning forward and start shimmying, and hopefully you can shake that person off and they'll fall off themselves. But again, Charles Oliveira is that good on the ground. His body triangle, he could have probably stayed on his back for the rest of the round if Chandler decided to put him forward. So again, what did he have to do? He had to make the choice that, in the eyes of a lot of people, the most dangerous choice: slam him on his back. But sometimes, if you do that and get the perfect spot, you can actually win your opponent. So it'll break the movement anyway, you can get out. But if you seen it, he still didn't let go of that wrist. When he went back, he still had wrist control. So there was no threat of that submission. So he was not scared about going back down into there. They were still dry at this point. So Oliveira had a good grip on him. So he was perfectly just keeping his breathing calm and biding his time. And as soon as, it's like a python, when he feels its prey starting to breathe out, they'll start squeezing up, so you can't take a breath back in. He's just felt when Oliveira just loosened his legs a bit, and as soon as he just shot straight out, turned straight over, and back to his feet. But what he did is he was then playing the dangerous and even more dangerous game, playing back into the actual guard of his. Yeah. Probably would have had a little bit of chance of him standing up, but he made that work for him. He were able to hurt Oliveira, and I thought coming out of that round, he was going to win it. So coming into the round two, when he did start the way it were, that left hook that you seen Oliveira throw, if you could imagine the hook that Izzy finished Robert Whittaker with, in that sort of circumstances, the heart in it is perfect, because when Chandler is there and throwing his wide hooks, he's leaving his chin and his face wide open. So all Charles Oliveira has to do then is just lean a bit back, hooking, and that's the perfect shot, and that's exactly what he did. And he were able to not knock him out straight away, but able to stun him. He did a Brock Lesnar, did a 360 and stood back up, and he just walked him down, and it would just bang, bang, bang. And Dan Mergler had to step in. But it's not like he wasn't deserving to be in there. I know a lot of people might say after this fight, they shouldn't say, but a lot of people might say after this fight, oh, well, that just goes to prove that he shouldn't be in there, because he was fucking doing well in the first round. He did, at the end of the day, he's done probably better. He's been probably a better opponent to Charles Oliveira in the last 5 or 6 fights.
Yeah.
Than I can remember. So, yeah, he definitely would have deserved, he definitely did deserve to be in there fighting for the belt. Unfortunately, Charles Oliveira had to fight. He had to fight Charles Oliveira, but I can't even get my words out there. Yeah, he had to fight Charles Oliveira, and Charles Oliveira, as we know, is an absolute animal on the ground. And I guarantee not a lot of people had him winning by TKO or knockout.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, so, but like you said, it's a fair, even though as much as would it have been a fairy tale victory for Michael Chandler, it's even more a better fairy tale victory for Charles Oliveira. It's another Michael Bisping story for me. You've been in the UFC for so long, you've beat the who's of who's, you've never turned down a fight, you've always been a company man, you've always said yes, signed on the dotted line and shown up to where you need to show up. And it's finally paid off for him. He can now tell his kids, tell his grandkids
that he was a champion.
Yeah, they'll probably say, "Fucking hell, shut up! You've told us this about 100 times." But it's just one of them things. He'll be able to go, "Yeah, I've written UFC for 12, 13 years, beating everyone, beating this guy, beating the top 5 and that lot." I think, you fucking told us about 5 times, but that's a story he can live on, and it's what a story, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that win, he actually breaks the record for the most finishes in UFC history. He was tied with Donald Cerrone on 16, and now he's on 17. And he also adds to his record of the highest finishes per win percentage. I think he's at like 96.
I think he's getting one of them 75 fucking grand bonuses, but that's thank you to Tony Ferguson.
And if he does get a post-fight bonus, he'll actually tie Donald Cerrone again with 18.
I reckon he's going to get a bonus for that. He's definitely going to get a bonus for that.
I would not be surprised if Dana White is regretting saying he'll give 75,000, because there is easily 6 or 7.
Should be up to fucking 100 grand.
There should be 6 or 7 fighters on that card who deserve a bonus. They really came out to.
There's about 2 or 3 fights on prelims.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's UFC 262 in a nutshell. Next week we're back on the fight nights with Rob Font taking on Cody Garbrandt in the main event. A bit of an early one for us, a midnight start for us, so we should be fresh as daisies for that one. But definitely tune in next week for that one. You can follow us on Twitter. Follow Carlos here at Kurtbait_Carlos. Follow the show at 5 Rounds Pod. That's on Instagram and on Facebook as well. Run by Carlos here. You can follow me at Podfather Mags. I've changed my Twitter handle because
God.
And also check out the rest of the quality content on the networks that run. We get so much support from the Chairshot, from Shooting the Sports Station, from Visionaries Global Media. So definitely go and show them some love back. But thank you all for watching. Thank you all for being involved. We always appreciate you. Yeah, good night, guys.
Adios, amigos.
TheChairshot.com. Always use your head.